All right, so this is going to be towards Penguins fans and Pittsburgh fans. I am not as mad about the return as I thought I would be. I mean, clearly Jake Guentzel, you're a first line guy, right? I mean, he is a top notch player. And Gideon Bunting is not your guy that you're like, oh my god, this is that guy, right? I didn't do a ton of. I mean, I did some research, relatively. I looked up points. I watched some videos. I kind of want to get an idea of who these guys were, what kind of value they would bring. Because there's the truth of it is the Pittsburgh Penguins did not get a first round pick. If you're gonna get a first line player of Jake Guentzel's caliber, I mean, if we go to his stat card, right? So here you go, Jake Guentzel. Remove this out of the way 1 second. So if you go to Jake Guentzel, this guy has been putting up over a point per game since 2018, 19. Yeah, 2018, sorry. So in 18, 19, right? Second year in the league. It was after winning the Stanley Cup, right? So he wins Stanley Cup in 17, 16, 17. Boom. Phenomenal. Good for him. Then comes in 17, 18, 48 points, 82 games. Look at this. 76 points, 82 games. Sorry, my bad. 40 points, 39. 57, 56. 84 and 76. 83 and 78. So a little dip last year. But really, this guy's a point per game player. And he's did 40 goals twice, right? Almost 3 times with 36 goals right here. So he's a playoff performer, 10.7 games. Like, this guy, 21 points in the 18, 17, 18, 21 points in 12 games. 21 points in 25 games. Look, I mean, just this guy is he's a performer. He's a playoff performer. I mean, he's almost a point per game player throughout his whole career. 466 over 503. I mean, the guy's still like, was he 29? Yeah, 29. So he still has some good years left in him and everything. So especially for a third round pick, good for Pittsburgh picking him up. The thing is with this trade, again, I'm not as mad as I thought I would be. I'm genuinely not, because I think there is some quality here. Now I'm gonna go. Let's go real quick. I don't want to go too long on this because I don't want to Debbie Downer this. But to me, I'm if they had just gotten a guaranteed first round pick, I'd be okay. I think I would be. Everyone would be so geeked about this. But again, I'm not mad about the players they got. It is just they're not there yet, and that's the issue. And they weren't drafted as first round draft picks, right? None of these guys are first round draft picks. That's the crazy thing, is that none of these guys are like a guarantee. They're all like seconds and lower. So that's from some of the frustration. So real quick, let's do Jake Guentzel. I mean, Jake Guentzel's clearly the belle of the ball. He was one of the highest. If they said he was a guaranteed trade, like the trade target, he would have been the first on all trade boards. He wasn't, because Pittsburgh Penguins were up until a couple days ago. They were still in the playoff hunt. And then Kyle Dubas decides to pull the trigger on this. So to me, you're getting what are the current Canucks getting? They're getting 25% retained. Jake Guentzel. So the cap works out so that you get an exact one. I mean, there's no money changed, right? And you get Ty Smith. He's in the AHL. He's an extra player. He's a little bit of depth in the AHL, which is okay. Like I said, you like to have that going into the playoffs. Going to Michael Bunting. If you don't know Michael Bunting, get out of here. You're not a hockey fan, honestly, to me, because honestly, Toronto. He played with Toronto. If you missed it, he played with Toronto. He was a pain in the ass all year, and he never got called because he was a pain in the ass. He would talk back to the refs, and you're like, dude, you're a nobody. Why are you talking back to the refs? So he signs with Carolina, a 4-year deal at $4.5 million. So he's got 3 years left on this deal. So Pittsburgh is, and by the way, why did they get Michael Bunting? Well, you have a guy who's playing top line minutes, but now he played top line minutes with Matthews and Marner and on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then he goes to Carolina, plays top line minutes, or plays up there. And of course, Kyle Dubas likes Michael Bunting. He found him in Arizona and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get this guy, get a 2-year deal on this guy." He paid him like $1 million for like a year for 2 years, and then he earned a spot to play with Matthews and everything. But again, I'm not so mad about this. Real quick, let's go over some of the stats. Ty Smith, again, he's an add-on. I'm not going to really go over him. Michael Bunting, if you don't know Michael Bunting, you're not paying attention to hockey. So real quick, with Toronto, 63 points, 79 games, 49 points, 82 games. That's definitely a drop. Then they let him walk. 36 points in 60 games. Not terrible. I mean, it's not great. Definitely a drop from playing on the top line right here. But again, he's not terrible. The minus 15 is definitely starting to be a concern. But again, the Kyle Dubas, he, as Steve Dangle would say, Kyle Dubas loves his guys. You know Steve Dangle, that's not a bad impression, by the way. Then going on to Vasily Ponomarev. So 21 years old, young prospect, right? So you're going into a rebuilding team, and you want Sidney Crosby to stick around. You bring in young guys that can help move the needle forward eventually, right? So he signed his contract, right? Still has a year left on there. And if you go to his point totals right now, 29 points in 39 games with the Chicago Wolves. Has a stint with the Carolina Hurricanes, 2 points in 2 games. But again, that's decent. That's okay. He's probably honestly the quote unquote worst here. I think he's a 4th round second round draft pick, right? So you're getting a second rounder from 2020. Then you're going to Cruz Lucius. No contract yet. 4th round pick, 19 years old, young guy, 6'1", by the way. It's a good size on him. And in the NCAA, 31 points in 32 games. Phenomenal. 34 points in 34 games. Phenomenal that last year. So this guy has the NTDP, 42 points, 42 games. At the NAPHL 16U, 68 points, 20 games. So this guy has that scoring potential, which is great. Again, he's a good player. He's a genuinely good player. And I think he's got potential. Again, we got to see this translate from the NCAA to the AHL and the NHL. But to me, if they decide to sign him, put him in the AHL, and he wants to not finish college and go there to the AHL, I think that'd be a smart move. Start to get him on the tougher ice. But again, you don't want to stifle his development. He's only 19, so you don't want to stifle his development. So that's Kyle Dubas' decision. But if he signs a contract, then he is immediately going to the AHL because you can't play in the NCAA with a contract. So, lastly, one of the other parts, Ville Koivunen, 20 years old, drafted in the 2nd round, 51st overall. In 2021. Again, dude, Carolina loves their Finnish players. It cracks me up because they have so many scouts. They have so many Finnish players. Looking at this is out in La Liga, so this is the Finnish league, 56 points, 57 games. That's great. That's awesome. And this is by the way his 2nd year. No, this is La Liga, so it's a lower league, right? It's a good league, but it is a lower league. It's not like to me, how I equate it typically is like you have like the NHL. It goes like NHL, then it goes like AHL, KHL, and SHL are all like similar difficulty, right? Then you go one step further, and that's like the Finnish league. That's again, don't know those leagues terribly well, but to me, the La Liga is just not as good a league. But he's performing. He's doing well on there. So can that translate? Hopefully, right? Again, he's a 2nd round pick, so there's definitely something there. And like I said, he's 20 years old. Come on. So if you bring him over, that could really work out really well. So real quick, I want to just show you where Guentzel, he's not going to be up here, but he's definitely going to be in this top 6. I think you knocked down Stefan Noesen. And Evgeny Kuznetsov, dude. These guys are just doing some interesting moves. I think it's a good move. It's a good bet. But then you go in Pittsburgh Penguins again. They're going to be decimated without. And Bunker Bunting was already on LTIR, so Bunker Bunting. Jake Guentzel was on LTIR, so this is not a huge deal right here at this point. So going over some of the players real quick that we just went over. We have David St. Louis. He's part of Elite Prospects. He's a scout. And I wanted to get his take, I saw his take and I wanted to show you guys. Koivunen, high hockey sense playmaker, supports, plays well. Skating is a weakness. Upside, he is a top 9 player. So hey, there you go. He has potential right there, right? Ponomarev, this is one of the guys unsure. Hardworking 2-way forward, bottom 6. Hey, again, if you can get in the lineup, it's huge. You need NHL players. I'm saving that for 1 second. And then Chaz Lucius, deceptive, flashy playmaker. Skating is also weakness. Skill, but style may not translate to the NHL. Again, it's one of those things where none of these guys seem like they're top line guys. When you're trading out a top line guy like Jake Guentzel, you'd like to see a bigger return, right? And looking at the return, they didn't get a 1st round pick. They got a guaranteed 2nd round pick. So really, you can take out the 5th round pick, by the way. The only thing they got is these 4 players and a 2nd round pick for sure. That's exactly what they got for sure. The second round becomes a 1st round if they make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They got to go through 3 rounds. They got to go through their division, which I think they can do the division. I think they'll make it out of the first round. I think they'll end up versus the Rangers in the second round, and that's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. But I think they're. I mean, if goaltending can, I think Rangers honestly win it. But I know that I think, to me, I can definitely see. Well, that's tough. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a while. I think they can make it to the conference finals. Let's say that against the Rangers. I definitely think they can do that. Moving on. No, conference finals. It'd be division, because they would first round they beat someone, and they then have to verse the Rangers, and they have to be someone in the Atlantic, and then they would be So they can make it out of the first round for sure. The other one, the fifth round pick, which is I think it's so unnecessary. If they win the Stanley Cup final, they get an extra fifth round pick. I'm like, dude, like, why even add that, dude? It's so, there's no guarantees there, and it's a little frustrating. So, to me, you're getting a second rounder, a third rounder. Like, you're not getting a ton of, like, you're getting quantity for sure, and you're hoping one of these guys hits. And that's the issue, is that the Carolina Hurricanes have some phenomenal players. I'm going to show you like the elite prospects for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's not showing up well enough right now. Give me 1 second. Okay, maybe a little hard to see, but you can see there's the prospects right here are Chaz Lucis, right? And this is in the Pittsburgh Penguins system now. He's at a .97 points per game. I sort this by points per game in there and when they're playing, by the way. Good job, Emil Brännström in the AHL. Almost 1.75 points per game in 8 games. Phenomenal. Anyways, Chaz Lucis, .97. Then you have Ville Koivunen. You have .96 points per game, right? Those are good. That's like a point per game in your leagues that you're doing. That's great. We talked about that. We showed that they're almost point per game. Then you go to, where is he at? Vasily Ponomarov, 29 points, 41 games, 0.7 points per game. The problem is essentially the Carolina Hurricanes offloaded a bunch of guys that are not their top line prospects. Looking at their top line prospects, you could see I have these point per game, right? Some of these guys are doing phenomenal, and everyone keeps talking about Scott Morrow out in at UMass, 0.97, 0.91. It's a D. He's putting up almost a point per game, right? You have Blake Murray playing really well. The Bradley Nadeau, like one of these guys, like if you had just got one of these guys, Jackson Blake or Bradley Nadeau, 0.12 points per game in the NCAA with Maine, University of Maine, and Jackson Blake put almost a 1.5 per game. That is what you want. That is the type of thing that you really you want to take advantage of. This is the assets you're supposed to be getting back when you do a trade of a top line player like that. So for me, that's my issue right now, is that these guys are, I guess they weren't available, but they're Bradley Nadeau was a 30th overall pick, right? Like, why couldn't you get that first rounder? I mean, to me, it felt like that's where the letdown is, that you're not. And go to Chaz Lucis. So here's Jackson Blake over here. He was drafted in the 4th round. Yeah, 4th round. So he's panning out really well, which is very fortunate. Scott Morrow over here, top one, 40th overall. Like, it was a second rounder, but you need to get guys that are elite. If you're gonna trade an elite guy out, get elite assets. You need to get a first round pick, or you need elite prospects. Kyle Dubas went for quantity over quality, and God forbid, hopefully these pan out. If it doesn't pan out, I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. I mean, you trade for a big guy like Carlson, and you get worse from last year. Like, they didn't sell last year, and they sold this year. And you have Crosby freaking depressed. I just don't know. I feel better about it, but I don't feel excited about it. That's my issue. Is that I will give you that Jake Guentzel is hurt. To me, what I would have done if I was GM, and it sounds so silly, if I would be like, listen, Carolina, if you re-sign him, you throw in this, you throw in an extra pick, something, right? Like, because now I'm okay. Rental price, I guess that's not bad. With all those assets, rental price is not bad. If they re-sign him, that is a huge issue. It's a huge issue. So, anyways, I'm a little frustrated because I want I want Kyle Dubas to work out in Pittsburgh. I want him to like him. I like Kyle Dubas. I think he's smart. I think he's a lot of good moves. I think he's a little cerebral, right? And I hope that they have some discussions with Sidney Crosby about the direction of this team. And I think with a move like this, I'm feeling that they're probably, and I'm sorry, Pittsburgh fans, I think they're going to trade Crosby either in the summer or I don't even know. I think they're going to trade him in the summer. That's, I mean, can they? I know we're veering away now. We are now veering away from the trade, but to me, I could see a world where they don't keep Crosby. I don't even know when his contract goes to. I'm gonna rant on this because it's just okay. So he's got next year too. So he's got next year 8.7 million. I mean, you also. I mean, we got to do. I'll do a breakdown in the summer about the direction of the Pittsburgh Penguins because you still have Evgeny Malkin for 3 years. You have Ricard for 5 years. You have Carlson for 4 more years after this. You have Letang for 5 years, dude. Like, or 3 years. They have 3 years after this. 4 years for Chris Letang. So Ryan Graves for 6. Like, so I feel better about the trade. I feel better about the trade, but I don't feel great. And I understand, so I can understand now. I'm actually going through the emotions of this trade during this video right now, and because I genuinely felt better, but I think Pittsburgh they might regret the moves. Of just not getting an elite asset. Again, if this was just a first round pick, or like first round and you make the second round or something like that, like something that's a little more like attainable. To get to the Stanley Cup Finals is tough. It's very tough. And I don't know if Carolina's built for that. And especially with Florida and Boston picks up some guys. And then you have Boston just tough, right? Boston and Florida just tough. Florida's doing a ton of great moves. Tampa picks up Declare. Tampa's just tough in the playoffs in general. So I'm just nervous. So anyways, this is all love. It's all hockey. I'm so excited for the playoffs. And I hope you guys like this video and watching me go through my emotions. It's probably the loudest I got in one of my videos. So anyways, hit like, subscribe. Love you. Catch you later.